been a year, but we're back up in Bear Wallow. We're gonna go and check out the springs and structures in here. I don't know if you guys can tell, but we're off trail. It's me, and then I brought my son Caleb. He's gonna come back in here and Bigfoot with me today, following where the elk and the moose travel to get in and out of these springs. Always so much deadfall to climb over around this one. We're getting close to the top of the spring area, and I just wanted to, well, we have a little bit of a clearing. Kind of want to show you guys the mountains and stuff over there. And this is the direction we're heading. Hoping to get some Bigfoot activity today. It's a nice, cool, overcast day. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll be active. Picking our way through the ring of deadfall up to the springs. We heard some movement earlier off to our left over that way. We're still climbing. Last time we were here, up near the springs, we found 14-inch Bigfoot prints and 17-inch Bigfoot prints. We casted one of the 14-inchers, and then we later regretted it because we found a 17-incher that was even better and deeper and had better toes. But when you're backpacking, you can really only carry one casting kit. The luck and the opportunity of being able to cast a single footprint, the odds of finding two that are castable. The rose hip looks like it's ripe, ready to eat too. This is where it really gets steep. Yeah, there's about 6 varieties of mushrooms on this mountain. We've been climbing this mountain for about an hour now. One of the springs. This is what we think brings the Bigfoot up here. It's been a year since I've been here. Here's one of the 2 springs up on the top. We'll start finding structures that surround them. We're looking for the second spring, and we're also looking for some of the structures we found the last time we were up here. We scoured that last spring for Bigfoot footprints. All we found was elk and bear. I heard talk in that direction. Did you hear talking over there? That's the same side. Hiking up on our left side, I kept hearing some movement. Did you hear something?
I don't know what it was. I think it was like a loud frog.
So far off we've found up here is signs of elk and bear. Still got one more spring. The last time, this other spring I'm looking for, the last time we were up here, that's where we found the 17-inch footprints, was going in and out of that spring. I know the bow hunt's going on, and I've seen a human footprint up here, so I hope someone didn't come up here yesterday or earlier today and scare off anything that we're up here looking for. Where's that other spring? That might be one of the structures I'm looking for. Let's go over and check this out. This is one of the structures. I remember this one from last year. We'll compare some photos. I'm taking photos as I'm filming. We'll see if this has changed any. We're not sure if this is a structure or if it was coincidentally made. And there's just a few relocated logs. Most of them have fallen over, lived there. You can see the root system on them and stuff. The ones that we take seriously are the ones that we can tell have been relocated. Here's a shelter area, Caleb. I want to show you where we found possible Bigfoot shelter last year. We casted the 14-inch footprint here. Keep a close eye for footprints through here. We had to take shelter in this Bigfoot shelter last year. Cool. Right here. See how some of the pines were broke and thrown down there to make a bed under a pine tree? Right on. It looks to me like this has been used. We're gonna look a little bit for hair. I think they've come back and used this more than once. Caleb, will you hold this camera right here? I want to show people me getting down into this possible Bigfoot shelter. We found it last year, and right about there. And we've already looked for hair in this, and I'm going to look again. But yeah, you can see the old pine boughs. These were green last year, where they had torn them down and made a little bed. And we took shelter in the rain under here. It downpoured for about an hour on us, and we didn't get wet at all under here. And then they got kind of a little bit of cushy pine boughs. I think one or two Bigfoot may occasionally take shelter here. And this is by the springs and stuff. I haven't seen the Oregon grapes like I was seeing them last year. I'm sure we'll run across those soon. We found 14-inch footprints just outside of this shelter last year. I'm going to kind of walk over to where they were. And I see a lot of smushed down vegetation around here. So something may have been using them. And right here is the 14-inch footprint that we dug up last year. You can still see a little bit of a crater left in the ground where we dug it up an entire year ago. There was a trackway of 14-inch footprints, so that really leads us to believe that a Bigfoot may have used this as a shelter last year, and they may use it more often. God, did we have to go up there? I think we may have to go up there. I was just showing Caleb how when we find these snap-offs that have really been twisted like this, and I know this one an old one, but you find old and new in Bigfoot places. When you see the 3-mile trackway in Canada, every opportunity they got, they were twisting and breaking something. They just can't help themselves when they're traveling. That may be some of the wood knocks people hear, is them doing this type of stuff. But this one right here looks like it's a display of power. I'll kind of get back and have Caleb in front of it so you can see how big it is. I mean, it reached up about 7 foot to twist and snap that. We're up to the second spring, and this is the spring we had the luck with finding the giant 17-inch footprints. We're on the same side that the prints were coming in and out of the spring. Love the 6 springs Bigfoot sighting. There's been about 5 sightings around that spring, but one of them, the creature was actually sitting in the spring on its butt picking water weeds. I don't see why I'd be wasting its time picking the weeds if it isn't going to be eating them. My personal thoughts. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's taking the weeds home and making a bed. I think it's a food source. This area, we're on top of a mountain, and at the base of the mountain there's public campsites. There's about 6 Bigfoot sighting reports that have come out of the area. And then we found these springs and structures up here and footprint. You know, it makes sense. They call Bigfoots the ridge walkers. They stay on the top, and if they can get a water source where they don't have to come down below and a food source, I mean, why not? We're gonna scour the area for footprints. Hey, me and Caleb found the giant 14-inch footprints, just like the one that we casted last year when we was up here, when me, Brody, and Jenny were up here. Well, just over a year. The toes smashed into the log up here. I mean, it stepped right into this log, and then the heel comes back to here, just about the 14-inch mark on the tape. and then goes back up around that way. It made some good toes because it smashed into that log. You can see a bunch of the separate toes. And this footprint, the one that leaves 14-inch footprints up here at Bear Wallow, it's got a very wide foot. Out of all the other 14 inches that we find, it's got one of the widest feet. It's a little over 7 inches wide. Caleb and I are going to look around a little bit more for a better footprint. If we can't find a better one, we're probably going to cast this one. It's going into the direction of the spring. I don't know if you guys can see the water. I'll walk a little closer to it. I'm being careful because I'm on the trackway where we found the footprint. Actually, I can see where it stepped there. I know the footprint isn't fresh. It's not like we're fresh on the hills of whatever made that track back there. It actually looks several weeks old to me, but it shows that even a year later we're still finding some Bigfoot activity up by these mountaintop springs in Bear Wallow. We're casting the footprint and we used our entire casting kit that we brought, and it just wasn't enough. It's not doing it justice. I mean, this footprint was so deep, didn't fill it well enough. Part of a toe out here that isn't going to be part of the plaster cast, we just didn't have enough. And then where the toe went in over here, this is a big heavy creature to do this. And we found evidence of it taking another step up ahead, kind of scuffed up the ground, heading that way. Yeah, we're going to take a break and have our lunch right here and let this cast set up. Needed about double the casting material that we just used. If you guys can't tell looking at this on film, we could have dumped 2 kits in that, and that would have done it justice and really got the toes for us. But oh well, you win some, you lose some. It's cool that we found Bigfoot evidence up here today. I just love Bear Wallow. The width is, at the very widest point, is 8 inches. This one in Bear Wallow that has the 14-inch length footprints has the widest footprints I've ever seen out of one that leaves a 14-inch footprint. I actually think that's a left footprint because it seems like it walked that way. I think it hit its left there, and then the right over there we seen a disturbance in the ground. I already filmed it for you guys. The last time we were up here, when we got this far into the hike, it really started to downpour on us. And that shelter that we showed you guys, that we suspect it's a Bigfoot shelter because we casted 14-inch footprint near it. We took shelter in that for like an hour, and then when the rain quit, you know, and we covered the cast while it was setting up with some plastic, and then when the rain quit, we dug it up and we got the heck out of here. We wouldn't get stuck having to hike out in the rain. You guys will kind of want to know why Bear Wallow got its name. I mean, look at Bear have climbed this tree pretty high and dug the heck out of it. I don't know if you guys can make out some of the claw marks of the bear climbing up and down this tree, but it's pop marked with bear claws. A lot of the trees up here we find claw marks. All the Bigfoot sightings in this area, you know, if there's the food sources to support a population of bears, why not Bigfoot? Beautiful Bear Wallow. It's a great place to Bigfoot. We're going to kind of take a different path out of here. See if we can find some of the structures. There's one really nice structure up here. I don't have the GPS coordinates. I forgot to get those from Brody. He's got them on his GPS. Oh, I really think that they're territorial structures to tell other rival Bigfoot clans or rival males. This is my spot. Me and Caleb heard a wood knock a little while ago. Aim the camera the direction that we heard it. As a matter of fact, all day long, something on the left side of us. We've been hearing something move around and stuff, and it's, you know, on our way in, this direction was on our left side. It's actually north. We just heard a wood knock a little while before I started filming this scratched up tree. Here's another tree that's just been dug up by the bears. I mean, they kind of slide when they come down the trees and really just gash them up. But I don't know, I love finding bear activity. I mean, it's got some long slide marks. Some squirrels making a warning. Right up on the pond is a moose. Check it out, guys. Oh, that looks like a young spike. That's a young male. That's a bull. Yeah, that's a year or two old bull right there. Cool. There's Caleb. He's trying to hold really still. I'm using him as a shield so he doesn't see my movements as much as I'm filming it. We heard the warning cries and stuff and knew an animal was on its way. And of course, you know, you hope it's the Bigfoot, but it's a moose. Oh, I heard something else walking back behind it. There's something else back there. There might be another moose. Just a youngster. Hey, buddy. Probably gonna go over to that other spring now. It seems very little concerned that we're here. Alright, well, we're gonna go back to digging up that cast and let him get a drink. Awesome. I know. Start seeing big animals like the moose and stuff up here. You know this place can support big game. And the Bigfoot are probably eating what the big game do. And when they get the opportunity, they feed on some of the big game. A lot of varieties of mushrooms up here this time of year too. We have luck finding Bigfoot footprints around these mountaintop springs. Okay, here's a little stick structure. We do believe the young ones mimic the adults. And that's exactly what a large scale adult one looks like. It even put the structure on the south side of the tree. When we find these large teepee structures, usually they put most of the deadfall that they shove up into the host trees, they put them on the south side, and this little one's no exception. Check out the lake below, folks. Down there is where there's been about a half a dozen Bigfoot sightings over the last like 30-40 years. And then we find Bigfoot evidence right on top of this mountaintop. It's funny when that moose come up on us. I pointed out to Caleb, I go, listen, there's some birds and some squirrels doing an alarm call. There's an animal over there. A few moments later, the moose comes breaking out of the tree line down to drink out of the spring. So you listen to the animals, they'll tell you what's going on around you. We're gonna start looking around and see if we can find some territorial structures as we make our way back down to the lake. I'm explaining to Caleb the significance of these snap-offs in Bigfoot areas. I mean, these ponds are ringed by them. There's this one right here. And then there's a couple more right there, some fresh ones. See, those are pretty fresh. And the tops are completely missing. Maybe a wood knocking stick now? This is a quaking aspen. They get their leaves very last in the spring out of all the trees. And then in the fall, they're the first to lose their leaves. The tree's way of avoiding being broken by weather. Now they don't have the leaves to carry all the weight, so when it's a quaking aspen that this is happening to, you got to start taking a second look. And if this was weather related, why did it snap at a thick point? Why didn't it snap further up at a thin point? Like the squirrel up here. Oh, that's funny. I thought we just had a pine cone thrown at us. Well, I guess we did. The squirrel dropped it on us. A Bigfoot reached the 10 feet up there and snapped that at a thick point. That is not the weak point of this tree. Then you have other people that say, well, maybe a bear climbed up there and that happened. Well, do you guys see any claw marks on the tree? Me neither. Big old squatch. I mean, something 7-8 feet tall. I mean, it don't even have to jump. It just reached up there and snapped it. And it snapped these two over here too. You find the structures ring in places where Bigfoot spend a lot of time. And look, I mean, both of these are fresh. And these had to have been snapped off within the last couple of weeks. That is fresh. It's just a little under 6 foot. And those snap-offs, are a good 9 feet up. So it was something very tall that reached up there and snapped those. And something very tall and powerful that snapped that one. We're heading down off of Bear Wallow. And who knows? I mean, all the sightings have happened down by the camps down below. Maybe we'll get lucky. We just come off the springs. The springs are up that way up on the top. I missed it, but Caleb just heard a double wood knock up there. We did hear 2 good whoops while we were up there too. Me and Caleb both agreed that those whoops did not sound human either. When you get a wood knock, they sometimes wait 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes before they knock again. They're so patient, whatever it means. We're gonna GPS this one. This looks like the beginning of a structure. They got the host pine tree right there. And then, look, this was relocated. It did not grow here. Didn't even grow anywhere close to here. There's no stumps anywhere around. Something relocated it and shoved it up there along with a second one. There's 2 of them in this. So this looks like the beginnings to a structure. And let me zoom in. I'm sorry, I can't get the sun to my back on this one for you guys, so hopefully the lighting's good. And if I zoom in a little bit, a lot of these they'll get like 8, 9, up to 20 of them I've seen in them. But this looks like just a start to one. And we find these structures all over Bear Wallow, and they ring the mountaintop springs. Check out this awesome structure, folks. I mean, it looks like a little bit of primate thought went into making that. Let's get a little bit closer and take a look and see if this is all relocated deadfall. Here's some deadfall that's been relocated and looks like they're getting ready to put it up into the structure. These 2 didn't grow here. There's no root systems or stumps that they come off of, but they're laying right here, and they may in fact get added to this structure sometime in the future. Check it out. Bigfoot hotspot. And I love, look at the one with the fork in the... You find that a lot in structures. They'll throw one up there with a fork, or the host tree will have one, which makes it suitable to stack all these. These logs have been relocated. This to me is a Bigfoot structure and should be GPSed, and we should keep an eye on it in the future. I'd really love to see if these logs that are sitting here staged if they're going to end up in the structure. Gotta love it, man. I love bigfooting. We're getting close to the base of the mountain. Been a pretty good day. After years of bigfooting, you kind of always expect to get skunked because that's the general rule. You find little to nothing most times. Every once in a while you get lucky and find a bunch of stuff. Today we got to see some possible structures, some snap-offs, but the big thing was we found a trackway of 14-inch footprints. One of them was deep enough into the ground where we were able to cast. I've got the cast in my backpack. That's pretty awesome. I love coming home with a Bigfoot souvenir from these things. We're still in Bigfoot country. We think they stay on the top most of the time over by those springs though. I don't know if you guys at home can make out the video of this footprint, but we found another one of the large 14-inch long, and it's crazy 8 inches wide at the widest point. That's the individual, the 14-inch footprints. It has a wide foot up here. I'm really hoping you guys can see this. I can see it live really well. The toes are up along here, and then the hill. See this little hole in the ground right here? The hill actually goes over the hole a little bit. But yeah, up towards the springs. The springs are, it's a 14-inch long footprint. So it made its way up there. And Caleb and I are on our way out of here, so we're gonna backtrack it. And looks like I can see where it stepped there too. Stepped there and there. Oh, looks like it stepped there too on that log. Heard a loud snapping noise. So I had my eye on this area and something run from left to right over there, large and gray, and I didn't get to see enough of its body to know what type of animal it was, but it definitely wasn't the black color of the moose. It was more of like a grayish brown color. And I just got a glimpse of it, so I don't know how much of its body I saw, but it was huge. It was tall. Whatever it was, it was elk, a moose, or something else. I didn't get enough of it. Caleb and I just found a fresh Bigfoot footprint about 100 yards from here. The footprint couldn't be more than 2 days old. We really have our eyes peeled. We know that there's at least one in the area. It's the one that has the 14-inch long by 8-inch wide footprint. We also saw where it stepped on a log and crushed the log. I mean, it has to weigh over 500 pounds to do the damage to the log that was in the trackway.